let's talk about job interviews. Yes, right. Got many companies interested in you. So let's see what to do before the job interview, during the job interview, and after the job interview, right? So these thoughts are very personal, I think worth to mention. So generally speaking, when we talk about coding, I try to talk about standards, about patterns and things like that. But when we talk about the job interview, I find this a bit personal, right? Some of the aspects we're going to talk today are common sense, right, and are standard. But others are just my personal appreciation. That you may agree, you may disagree, right? This is just based on my experience. So, before the interview, what's going on? So, there is nothing worse on a job interview than not having enough understanding about the company you are applying for, right? So generally speaking, the first question we used to ask candidates is, thank you for coming, blah, blah. What do you know about us, right? If your answer is nothing, right? That means that you are there probably just because of the money, right? And that's not a good impression. Remember, the first impression only happens once. So please try to do a bit of research. Company, product, services, the team, as much as possible. That proves attitude, energy, right? That's the first thing. It seems obvious, but unfortunately, yeah, it's not always happening. Research. So, generally speaking, maybe not necessarily on your very first job, or maybe we'll see, but at some point, even if it's on your first interview, someone will send you the job offer, right? Someone. It could be me, it could be a recruiter, someone on LinkedIn. Because of that, try to get as much information as possible about who is going to interview you, right? Which person, which team, all these details, right? Because the more information you have about them, the easier it will be for you to prepare it, right? As we'll mention during what to do interview, right? But yes, at the end, first part is to gather as much information as possible, right? So generally speaking, you'll have access to at least the LinkedIn profile of the main person who is driving the interview. That information is very, very valuable, and people tend to ignore it. We'll see why. So once you are there, right? During the interview, what's the most important thing? Free suggestions. This, to me, and for some people that may not be the most important thing, but to me, attitude, discipline. If you are late on the job interview, that's it. You fail, right? That's fail. So, generally speaking, depending on where you do the interview, please know that it may be a bit hard to find a place the first time. Imagine that you're doing an interview in Canary Wharf or places like that. You know, you may need to go through several security checks as well. So just arrive 1 hour before, right? If you are 1 hour before, then grab a coffee, but you are there already, you know the place, right? Keep it under control, right? Dress code, it's a bit controversial. So try to match the company's dress code, right? How do you know the company's dress code? Sometimes you know, sometimes you don't know, right? So fortunately today, the majority of the companies, they have things like social media, right? Thanks to social media, you can get pictures of the employees, of the working environment, that will give you a feeling, right? That will give you a feeling. There is, at least about coding, one of the good things about coding is it's not that important, right? It's not that important, right? In other areas, that's absolutely vital, but in software development, you know, it's not a big deal, right? You can go to an interview with flip-flops. Right? It's not the worst thing in the world, right? Because that, even for some employers, that's a good message. Because that means that you are very confident about your capability, right? You don't care, you just, you know. So,
the default thing to be smart, business smart. I mean,
but that depends on the company, right?
So you say it count against you, possibly count against you if you're too smart.
Yes. So No, it's not, right? The thing is, and again, this is very, 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 very personal. So don't take that as a rule of thumb. But if I'm doing an interview and I have two candidates, one is wearing a suit, you know, very smart and everything, and the other one is wearing flip-flops, my first feeling, and again, I know that's wrong, but my first feeling is the guy with flip-flops is better. Because he didn't care. He's so confident about his ability that he didn't try to impress anybody with his look and feel, right? Or her look and feel. But again, yeah. It is, I'm telling my personal feedback. I know that some people may absolutely disagree on that. That's my personal feedback.
Surely you have to be comfortable.
Correct, you have to be comfortable. Be yourself.
I'm not going to dress down just to...
No, of course not. No. Of course not, right? Absolutely. So, no, Michael is absolutely right? Don't dress up. Just be yourself. Be yourself, right? Everyone has a range, right? A range of elegance, if you want. Or,
but just at the point, like the company I used to work with,
yeah.
they have a strict dress code, and if you're not wearing the attire, you can't enter the building.
That's correct. But that's why you should figure out that up front, right? So when you talk to the recruiter or to me or to whoever is giving you the offer, you need to figure out a few things. Who is doing the interview? What's the dress code, right? If the company has a strict dress code, right? I've been working for companies that you are not even allowed to leave your jacket in the chair. You are not even allowed to do that, right? Hey, that's important, right? That's important. Yes, the recruiter, correct, right? So that's the message. That's the message that the company is telling to you, right? So, yeah. Right, so again, you will see that at the end of the day, I'm always talking about the same thing, right? So during the interview, attitude, right? We've been mostly focusing on the technical aspect of coding, right? How to do good coding, performance, all these things. But the reality says that at least on your very first job, your soft skills are at least as important as your coding skills, right? So you should be able to express, to share thoughts, to prove you are motivated, right? Again, I will never get tired to tell the history of the very first guy here who got the job, who was a forbidden bodyguard, right? Why he got the job? Because he was super motivated, super keen, right? And that's why the companies will eventually, you'll notice the companies working with lots of senior developers, it's like, I mean, I don't want to say boring working environment, but you know, everyone is like very well focused on what they do the job, they go home, not a lot of interaction between developers. It works really well, like an engine, it works really well, but sometimes we need emotions, right? So if you go to the office and you prove that you have energy, they will be surprised. They will be positively surprised to see motivation, because that's something that you can spread, right? And that helps to contribute to generate a good working environment. So, again, learn as much as possible about the company, about the team, about, yeah.
I'm a bit confused about LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Because when you go on someone's profile,
Yeah.
the person can see that you've been on his profile.
Yeah.
And it's, for example, for me personally, I feel like,
Yeah.
Uncomfortable because
yeah, like,
But that's,
it's like spying.
Yeah.
no, why spying? That's public, right? A spy means you go to where he lives and you stay outside in the window. That's a spying, right?
I'm just a bit like, when I see someone, I don't even go
Yep.
and check their profile in case
No,
they
no,
see
it's on the other way.
But sometimes it's good to
It's-
check profiles because maybe you go to someone's in a company, that person look at your profile because it's the curiosity. Oh, she look at my profile, I'm gonna look at hers. And then you say like, oh, she's a junior developer. Now, oh, maybe you can make connections on that. I know.
That's the reason why they're there.
Yeah, that's the reason. Yeah, they are completely right.
It's fine. Yeah?
It's not fine. It's a good thing to do, definitely. When I interview someone and I see that person check my LinkedIn profile, it's like, oh, that's good. It's good, right? Because that information is public, right? So that person spends some time researching who is going to do the interview, me, going to LinkedIn, checking the details, even sending an invitation to connect, that's even fine, right? So to me, all these things are very positive, right? So
If you do care,
Yeah.
you can pay LinkedIn to not show yourself.
Thanks for that.
yeah.
You maybe not be discovered. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or get one of your friends to look them up.
Yeah.
That is another way of doing it. Or you as well create another profile.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fake profile. Okay.
Yeah, so something you will obviously will happen, right? So what's your experience, right? Your experience will be limited, right? You've been participating in the bootcamp, maybe some personal projects, but that's very limited, right? So it's hard at some extent to convince them that you are the right guy just because of your experience, right? They will know that, but still. So what's the main reason why they will hire you? Because of your motivation. Prove and send a message, be honest, saying, hey, look, I started to code recently, I reckon I'm still a junior developer, but hey, I'm super motivated. You can prove how motivated you are. Look, I was working, I was studying, I stopped everything to attend a bootcamp. That's motivation, so don't miss the opportunity to prove that, right? And I'm learning every day, I'm reading this book, bring a book with you on the table, right? To see that, oh, this guy is very motivated. Because if you're motivated, eventually they will help you to progress, right? If you're not motivated, then that doesn't matter, right? They will invest on your future, let's say, right? So prove how motivated, how keen you are to learn, to catch up, to help others, to get help, all these things, to work as part of a team, right? Also, let's talk about money. They will ask you about money, right? Some of the guys who got a job recently in previous cohorts, they always told me, hey, they're asking me about money, what should I say, right? So I tend to say, at least at the very beginning, don't talk about money, right? Say that you don't care about money, even if you do care. Even if you do care about money, don't say that, right? You should express that you are here in the job interview because you like the company, you like the product, you like the services, right? And you are not a money-driven person. You want to learn, you want to progress professionally. That's why you are here, right?
So, you said that they were asked about money.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Is that a trick question?
No, because they want to see if you're in the salary range that they are,
But you didn't say don't discuss money. So if you're asked about money, what do you say?
if they ask you about money, I will never ever put a number on the table. Never. Never. Yeah? Me, again, personally, me. And the thing is, historically speaking, to me that has worked really well. Because if they realize that you are not a money-driven person, if you are interviewing 10 people and then everyone is giving a number on the table and someone suddenly doesn't care about money, it's like, oh, this is really motivated. That's the guy, right? Eventually, they will probably end up paying you more than what they were offering at the beginning. Yeah, correct. It doesn't matter if it's the first job or not, right?
No, but I mean, us two going for the first job, I suppose.
Yeah. But even if you're a senior developer, right? I mean, yeah, the thing is, when you apply to an offer, speaking, you know the salary range they are offering, so you have an idea, right? But even in that case, keep it open, right? Just prove that you don't care about it.
But it depends on the type of company you're operating. Like in the new sort of modern companies, startups, Googles and Facebooks, it's fine, totally fine, because they want to see the passion and they want to see working. Traditional companies, I always say, because having worked through and having helped my wife and so on, and you have to ask for a good pay, because the entry is what you get paid there, because the annual increments are really small. So someone else who's lesser skilled than you, are still getting paid more. So I think even though you say you don't care about money, you should still say that I want to be paid on par with the industry or something like that. Make a bold statement. So rather than saying, I don't care, it shouldn't come across as if you're willing to sacrifice on the front. That's all.
Yeah, I respect that, Bala, but I completely disagree, right?
How much should we be expecting anyway? I mean, even if we don't say our salary expectations, we need to know.
So the range will be very wide. It depends what company you are applying, right?
It sounds like if you apply for internship, they only pay for travel things and that's it.
So generally speaking, you may receive offers at the beginning from 22 to 45. So that means this is very wide.
Below 20, is that normal as well? Like if someone offers us below 20?
Below 20,
Yeah.
to me, that's probably too low, I believe.
But if it's internship,
Yeah.
I've seen some adverts like internship, they only pay for the transport.
That's ignore that, right? That's not a good company to work for, right? That's not okay. I know this happens, but yes, okay. I don't want. Don't go there, right? Don't go there, right? They should pay you. Because you are going to be productive at some point, right? You're not going to get a massive salary, but they should pay you, right? For sure, they should pay you, right?
What if I say salary up to negotiation? Because that one comes up a lot as well.
So generally speaking, look, on the first, especially on the first job, my suggestion is, if the technology stack is interesting and they have a salary revision in 6 months, it's relatively frequent. Some of the companies we work for, they offer you that scheme, then it's not that bad, right? Even if the salary at the beginning is not the best one, because the salary will naturally get better and better and better, right? Every year you're going to get 15-20% more. So don't feel frustrated if the very first one is not super exciting, because the important thing is to get experience. Once you get 6 months, 1 year of experience, then that's it.
I was looking at a job the other day, but one was 35K for a junior role.
Yep.
Where those ones not applicable at all.
Yeah. I mean, some companies, they are paying that on junior developers. Yeah, 45 is not that strange. It's not that weird, right? Yeah.
That's what I was thinking as well. Maybe they're asking for a junior developer, but at the same time, they're not asking for someone who can work for.
Yes.
So generally speaking, there are 2 types of companies, just to simplify a lot, that you can apply for. So either you join a small company or a big company, right? So there are pros and cons, obviously. You join a big company, they will give you 2 things. First of all, probably better salary and stability, right? So you're going to work 9 to 5, something like that. Everything is predictable. You'll be surrounded by a big team. So it will be like a relaxed working environment, right? If you're in a small company, it will be probably on the other way around, right? It will be worse salary, you'll work more, even the location will be, generally speaking, less convenient than a big company. So then what's the advantage of being in a small company? There is one, but super powerful advantage of being in a small company. You're going to do everything by yourself. So in a small company, because you're not going to be surrounded by one expert on HTML, one expert on JavaScript, one expert on React, one expert on Node, right? No, it's you, maybe someone else, right? And that's the way you learn. That's the way you learn, right? And that's why me, and again, this is very personal, generally speaking, I tend to recommend to join a small company for a period of time, right? Because you'll have time to join a big company, to make a lot of money, but at the beginning, you want to progress as much as possible. Because the more you progress at the beginning, the quicker you'll have access to bigger companies, to good money, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So early on, at least 3-4 years, work with a small company. You get to work on everything.
Yeah.
Actually see the whole thing. Big companies just stop you from learning.
Yeah.
Even less than 3-4 years. I think in 2 years you can.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
6 months to 2 years.
It depends. Like, you should ask yourself, during this month, have I learned anything? If you keep learning, it's okay to start there, because your profile is getting bolder, it's getting better, right? But if you at some point you stop learning, what's the point of staying there, right? Cool. What else? Be ready for that, guys. That's a typical question that every company asks, right? And because of any reason, no one prepares it. Strengths, weaknesses, right? So what are you good at? What are you not good at, right? So just prepare that, right? And on the latter, when we talk about weaknesses, try to send a positive message. For example, there is a common problem here, not for everybody, but some of you struggle with CSS. Right? So it's valid to say, hey, one of the things is I'm not good at is CSS, but always there is a but, right? I'm trying to improve. I got this book, bring the book with your CSS, right? Put it on the table, because that proves attitude. That proves even you are not good at something, at least you have the right attitude to improve on that, right? Also some kind of buzzwords, but sometimes work, is this kind of attitude thing that if something doesn't work correctly as I want, I go home and I'm not able to disconnect, so I don't sleep well that night. So that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing, but it's also a good thing, right? Because it's like you're motivated and this kind of things, right? Don't
fix it ever, it's in my dream. I'm seeing high order functions in my dream.
Yeah. I mean, just prepare it a bit, right?
Yes.
Never say things like, I used to fall in love with my manager's wife, or things like that. or husband, or or I don't like to have a shower more than once a month. All these things. Yeah. Right. Let's talk about the hard skills. Right. So generally speaking, when we talk about job interviews, depending on the size of the company, so generally speaking, the bigger the company is, the more steps you will have to get involved. Right. So if it's a startup, so for example, one of the companies we work with, the ones that hired Konstantin and Norbert, so they just have a coffee with them, and if they like each other, they got hired, right? But some big companies, like Sky, that Tom is joining on summer, so they have a proper interviewing process, right? So that interviewing process means, first of all, they review your CV. If they like the CV, they call you, so you have a technical interview on the phone. If they like you after the technical interview on the phone, they may send you an unattended test. So they send you an exercise, and you are asked to spend a few hours on your spare time just dealing with the exercise. If they like it, they call you. So then you have a face-to-face chat with someone technical, with someone from HR, just to see the soft skills, all these things. And then after that, you do a pair programming exercise, a board challenge. There is a process of steps, right? So purely focusing on the hard skills, on the technical aspect, and be prepared to read others' code, right? This is as predictable as others' code. Yeah, that's a board challenge, right? When you do a board challenge, means someone has written some code, and you need to talk about it, right? So it could be a board challenge as such. It could be something on DevTools, right? So I could show you some code that I've written, and which is the same as board challenge, right? So be prepared to read others' code. That's why I keep recommending you, when you do a board coding challenge, go to the glass icon where you can compare your solution against others and try to understand what your colleagues have done, right? That helps to learn different patterns, strategies, and stuff like that, right?
What level of the board challenge would they like?
What?
What level of the...
It's not going to be any more complicated than that. It will probably be simpler. It will be a bit simpler. Yeah.
But the thing is, here we get a chance to prepare. We won't have that.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Here you got task to this week. Last 2 weeks you won't have any time to prepare anything. It will be like a secret board challenge. We'll see. That's a separate topic. Right. Also, when reviewing others' code, obviously feel free to suggest, if you have any idea about how to make it better, more performant. It's good, right? That's why you are there, because they want to say, how do you think, how do you react? If you have any opinion, how to make it better, feel free. That's very, very positive. That attitude of contributing to what they have, that's very positive. And also something that unfortunately I've experienced a few times, that the developers, that's more a problem on the senior level. But sometimes, if you are checking, because sometimes the code they show you is like artificial code, like a board challenge, someone that they made up. But sometimes they may show you real code of their software, right? And they want to see if you understand the code they have written, right? If that happens, that's the chances that the code you are reviewing is not good are very high, right? Because in real life, software is created by multiple developers over years. So sometimes the code doesn't look great, right? Functions are very long. So if you follow if you pass the elegance console, they will have lots of complaints, semicolons, problems, right? So it's okay to spot all these problems, but please be polite. Don't try to say, that code, that's wrong, because don't try to be like you are the master of the universe, right? Because that code is there because of a reason, so many developers, so much time, pressure, bug fix, right? So there is a reason why the code sometimes is wrong, right? And actually, maybe that's a bit off topic, but there is how to check code quality. So there is a fun picture on the internet. What the fuck per minute? Yeah, correct. I found it. Code quality measurement, right? This is one of my favorite ones. So the perfect code doesn't exist. Even if you are a really good developer, even if you are surrounded by really good guys, eventually, you know, sometimes it's not good, right? So be respectful to what some people has been doing.
One thing that might help land the job is, especially if you get the chance to review all the code, and you can obviously politely to say that in year 6 and above,
Correct.
this is how you can do this, these are the
Correct, yeah.
So have a look and do the comparison of year 6 versus the old JavaScript. So you have that in mind, so you can suggest that, and they know that you can enhance their code.
Yep.
As opposed to
Yeah, completely agree.
What if we do something? What if we do a board term or something, and our mind just goes blank and we don't understand it, we don't know anything,
That-
don't recognise it at all?
Be honest. It's okay to say, sorry, I don't understand that. Could you please, right? So, generally speaking, when that happened to me, I used to have a notepad, and if I don't understand something, if they are polite enough, they will explain you how to do it. And then you take notes, and then, oh, thank you very much, right? I'll never forget, right? It's okay. This thing happens, right? Also, I'll come back to that point in a minute. So then, prepare the common questions, right? So, generally speaking, especially in London, every company is doing this pretty much the same questions, right? So just prepare them a bit. Yes. If you Google 5 minutes, you'll find most are the typical questions. Talk about ES6 features. Just prepare them a bit, right? Some things you've been using, but please make sure that you can enumerate them quickly, right? About React, what's the state, right? Props, all these things. JavaScript, we'll be talking about lexical this. You remember? Yeah. Lexical this, arrow functions, that's probably the top one question. The top 2 questions in JavaScript are lexical this and prototypical inheritance that we'll be learning next week. CSS, specificity. There is a workshop. Who is doing that workshop, actually? Daniel. So Daniel will explain that question. How specificity works in CSS? That's a classic one. And then, what do you think about using important suffix in CSS? We'll talk about that as part of the specificity as well. Yeah?
Sorry, Carl, these are questions that you come across?
Yes. So these are questions that I've been asking to candidates over time. Yeah, me personally. And also me as a candidate, I've been receiving, right? And that's the thing. If you know that, I mean, this is just a subset, right? No, don't think that as like the Bible of questions. Right? There are like 100 questions, but this is just an example of questions that that you may receive.
So when we apply for a job, should that be a person spec? Or should we see a job description and person spec so we can see what type of things to focus on, or is that not?
So you'll get a job spec. Other question is how specific the job spec is. Because sometimes the job spec talks about in detail technologies, product, which is really good, but sometimes it looks like a template.
Yeah.
Here at dollar company name we are looking for blah, blah, and then it's hard. That's why if you feel that list of requirements doesn't help you to prepare the interview, that's why you should contact the person who sent you the offer. Say, do you mind sending me a bit more details? Yeah. Because at some point that will happen and that will help you to prepare it, right? Right, so something weird when you are doing an interview is at the end of this discussion between you and the employer, eventually they will ask you, do you have any question for us, right? It's very weird. It's very weird when the candidate says, no, I don't have any questions, right? That's wrong. Don't say that, right? For sure you have questions, right? It's either you don't understand or you don't care, right? Exactly. So, and that's not a good message. So please have a backlog of questions, of course, if they have been not covered during the interview, because if they've been talking about that, then don't ask the same thing again. But if they haven't talked about things like, how is the team structure, right? That's a classic question, right? How many developers in the team, front end, back end, this kind of, because you care about the team you're going to work for. What are the long-term plans of the product? That proves that you don't want to stay there for 3 months. You like the idea, you want to stay in the long term, right? If you got access to the technology stack, you're not going to understand everything, right? In the technology stack, there will be technologies that you've never heard about. But this is a good thing that you ask about some of them. Oh, I saw that, I realized that you're using that technology, whatever, what framework. Why is that? I Google a bit, it sounds interesting, I never use it, right? But that proves that you don't know something, but you're keen to learn. And they will be super happy to explain you, because no one asked that question, right? So that proves you read the spec, you read everything, right? And about LinkedIn, back to what ISL reported at the very beginning. So the majority of these questions are a bit generic, right? How's the team structure? That applies to every job interview. But if you manage to keep it a bit personal, then you'll nail it. So for example, if you got access to LinkedIn, I'm sure if you scroll down, you'll find some interesting things about the details of the people who's interviewing you. So for instance, if you see that one of the guys who's interviewing you has been working with a given technology or framework that you haven't touched about, feel free to say, I check on LinkedIn that you are using that technology. No, it doesn't feel aggressive. It proves that you care. I mean, I think I got that question once, and it was like, whoa, that guy has really checked my LinkedIn profile. That attitude is amazing. He was hired, of course. Yeah. So please do it.
That way you can avoid the spy thing. Just tell him in the face.
Yeah, I'll just check your LinkedIn, you know that.
Yeah, but that's absolutely fine, right? It's public information, right? Right, so after the interview, right? So generally speaking is a good thing, regardless of what will happen next, because they may take from 1 day to a few days to give you some feedback. It's a good thing to send them an email, right? Thank you for your time, it was a pleasure to catch up. You know, even if because of whatever reason you like the job, but they feel that you are not ready for that, you're doing networking, right? They may call you in 3-4 months. So it's good to have a good relationship with that company. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you never know. So it's just, I think it's worth to spend 5 minutes of your life sending an email, thank you, right? And something that pretty much nobody does, I did once, is if one of the questions, if you struggle with one of the questions, if you struggle to explain, right? I think it's a good thing afterwards to, on the email, try to say, regarding that question that I was nervous, I struggled to give a good answer, I would like to elaborate a bit more, right? To explain, and then because you got Google at home, so you can research about the question, to give a good answer, not copy-paste from Wikipedia, things like that, something personal, but to prove that you can actually, that you have some concern about something they asked, so you thought about that, and then you went home and you researched, and then that proves attitude, right? Yeah, of course, you can attach, yeah.
You can send that link to them.
Yeah. Cool.
So it's fine to have my notebook and write down.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely vital. Please go to the, actually I should put that, it's true. Never go to an interview like that, right? Always bring a notepad and a pen, right? Don't bring your phone. Even if you like to, I know some people, they like to take notes on the phone, but the interviewer, he doesn't know if you are taking notes or you are using WhatsApp, right? So you bring a notepad, take some notes, you know.
Or you're checking the answers.
You're checking the answer. Yeah, that sometimes happen. Do you know what prototypic inheritance is? Yes, and you hear it type it, and suddenly, perfect answer. Like, you've been Googling it, right? Cool. Right, and one last thing. That never happened to me, but I heard some stories about that. So hopefully that will never happen to you. But in the unlikely scenario where you feel any type of discrimination during the interview, I mean, that again may happen, right? You can go to an interview and maybe the expectations were wrong and the interview is too hard and you are unable and you get nervous, right? That's fine. But if because of that you realize like they are like enjoying or they are making jokes like, oh, look, this is bullshit, right? So so there is a legal, that's serious. There is a legal requirement in the European Union that every note the interviewer takes during the interview, right, they should keep it safe for 6 months. So if I'm doing if I'm interviewing, applying for a company, and I realize that the interviewer is like making jokes and doing drawings, and you know, I have the legal right to go to the company and say, I want to see what that guy wrote. I want to see that, right? And if they don't keep that, the fine is huge. Wow. So big companies, and actually, yes, companies like Sky, they told all the time, on the interview, be careful, obviously be respectful, which makes sense, but on top of that, even if you're super respectful, which is what is expected to happen, and it will happen all the time, but just in case, don't throw away the notes, just keep them, right? Because we have the legal requirement of keep them, yeah? So, I think that's pretty much it, guys. Anything else? Any? Yeah?
I think we should also talk about which job not to take.
Wait, well,
Yeah, if you go to the interview
Mm-hmm.
and you don't like the attitude or they're trying to put you down, the way they ask questions, even if they offer you a job, if you don't like the atmosphere or the
Correct.
tone of the interview,
Yeah.
it's fine because we've got so many jobs nowadays.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
important to choose the right company.
Yeah, of course, yeah, yeah.
There's no point in getting somewhere and you that
Yeah.
don't like it, then
Yeah. So I think that's a good point. One of the things that, for example, I used to complain at the Sky a long time ago is that when we receive a senior developer, we used to interview him or her in the worst room possible, available. And that was bad, right? Because at the end of the job interview, it's like dating, if you want, right? That's bidirectional. So they both should fall in love, right? It's not a unidirectional thing. It's not like you as a candidate need to convince the company needs to convince you, right? So that's why yes, I agree with Vala in that respect, right? So if you don't like it, if you feel that's not for you, right, it's fine. Right? There are lots of opportunities. It's not about discrimination. It's not that you may not just like, the working environment or the product or the salary or the location, right? Or, that's fine.
And it's important because most of the time the job description doesn't come across.
Yeah.
So your role doesn't get
Yeah.
detailed with that.
Yeah.
In the interview, ask about it.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, don't go for it.
Yeah.
Because you won't enjoy it later. Because if they just
still go because
put it out just on
experience.
Yeah.
Even if I don't like it, I still go. Get some experience.
Do you suggest any website that we can search for positions? Because the ones that I check, it's like, as Itamar said, it's always like junior position, 2 years experience, something like that. So I never found like positions that I say, okay, I feel comfortable to apply.
Yeah.
I don't have the 2 years experience. Do you suggest any websites?
Yeah, there are few. For example, Talent.io. Justin got a job there. Yes, he was one of the members of the first bootcamp. So, yeah, Talent.io. So some of the offers, they don't require any experience. Also, it depends how much aggressive you want to be, but it has worked really well as well. So especially at the very beginning, it's not a bad thing to go to LinkedIn, do a bit of research. If you find a CTO of a company that you might find interesting, feel free to drop a message. Hello, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm joining a bootcamp. I'm very motivated. If you need anyone with super energy that wants to blah, blah, blah.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, on LinkedIn, that has worked well. Some people got a job. Yeah.
I think one thing, especially in the front end area, is get yourself involved in an open source project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the number of commits they see on your GitHub link speaks of way more than your LinkedIn profile or anything. So the more you involve in projects, just get involved, try to do, because that will help a lot.
Yep. Yeah.
Getting a job, even if you're still looking for a job. GitHub, yeah. So look for an open source project that can contribute to, even if it's just documenting what they're doing, basic stuff, right? The number of PRs you're doing, the number of the changes you're submitting, and them getting taken in means a lot. They look at your GitHub graph. It just shows that you're doing stuff while preparing for interviews.
Yep.
Looking at startup companies, and do you know Angel List?
Yeah.
Is that one okay to go for? Because if it's for smaller companies, would you not?
Yeah, I cannot give you any feedback whether I can recommend them or not. So.
Okay.
They do a lot of blockchain.
Blockchain.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes if you don't feel welcome in the open source things, just between us, we can still continue to work on a project and continue to submit things and accept each other. So you show activity there and you do some progress. Obviously that code should be able to run somewhere properly.
Yeah. Cool. Nice guys. It was a good catch up. Anything else? Itamar?
what would you say is your best strategy for approaching
if you just want to find small companies. Yeah, but that's the same thing, right? So generally speaking, so the big companies are widely announced in job search portals like Talent.io, Job IT, and all these places. But generally speaking, the smallest one, they are not that keen to participate in these processes. So that's why they attend meetups, they go to local events, just looking for talent, right? Actually, some of the guys who got a job is because they were here helping in some of the events. And out of coincidence, that day, someone here was part of a company or was running a startup and they hired them, right? So that's the way it works. It's not that, well organized or well structured, but this is how it works. Of course, I will send you CVs of whoever wants to get a job to the companies we are working with, and that will hopefully also help you. Yeah. Anything else? No? Cool. Thank you very much, guys. See you later.